But we can't hear you very well.
Pass, can you of judges in this room, in this particular room, and I would like to ask a speaker from each team to send the names of the speakers, and you have to mention the first, second, and third, so that we can easily fill the ballot sheet. Thank you. You can type your names in discuss or question and answers. It will be easy for us to know your names to be able to allocate the marks.
Hello, everyone. By names of Shaka Jesse. I'm also part of this team of judges that will be conducting the judgment of this debate. So, and I would also love to uh, clarify what you said. You will write your names, the first speaker, the second speaker, and the third speaker uh, in order so that you can be able to give marks accordingly to the speakers as you'll be speaking. And I hope you've had time to prepare. Wish you well. Good luck. Yeah, remember to start with the team name. Then, yeah, then you write the speakers so that we can differentiate which team is which.
So for the proposition side, who is going to give the reply speech? Can you please tell us the person who is going to give the reply speech for the proposition side as well as for the opposition?
The opposition side, the proposition side is Ishimarian. The first speaker is as well to give the response from the proposition side.
Then on the opposition, who is going to give the reply speech? I heard that on the proposition, it's Ishime Alian. Then on the opposition, who is going to give the reply speech?
Second speaker, the Chile.
The second speaker.
Yes.
Kindly speak louder.
Chide Liza.
Yes.
We have the elephants and the villas. The elephants are simply accommodated, and then the villas are that's for the ramification. This is on the opposition side. They don't hear. They don't hear.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for making debaters go through the procedures, Pascaline. Is there any further question? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
That hand that is supposed to be on the bottom. The
Sorry?
right hand.
The right hand.
Bottom. Yes.
Oh.
Right hand.
Yeah, because we are live on the video, when you have a point of information, you raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand. When I raise my hand, can you all see me?
Yes.
Yeah, you raise your hand
just
to
raise
point
it.
of information.
Okay, thank you.
Is everything good now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes, Jesse.
About the timekeeping. Yeah. For the first minute, I'll clap my hand, you'll see it. That means that the first minute protected has ended. And the last minute also, I'll have to clap once, meaning that the last minute is protected. And then to show you that your time is done, I'll clap. Then you'll even hear the alarm of the timer. So each speaker
clap twice.
Yeah. Are you clear about the timing? Thumbs up if it's clear. Okay.
So thank you so much for the clarification, Shaka, judge and timekeeper. So without further ado, Let's have the first speaker of proposition side take the floor.
Who starts?
And please speak louder, as loud as you can.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. The chief educator, the timekeeper, the judge, the opposition side, and the House at large. My name is Ishimwe Liane from the proposition side. My team is Team 2, and their names are: the second speaker is Mugisha Jerry, the third speaker is Mugisha Ann Andrew. The motion of today is: this House believes that complete digitalization for the Rwandan economy can be achieved by 2030. The keywords in the motion are complete, digitalization, Rwandan economy, and achieved. The points that are going to be given by me as the first speaker are job creation, boost Rwanda's development, reduce theft, cybersecurity, disaster recovery. And the points that are going to be given by the second speaker are saving time, making money portable, increase bank deposits. And the third speaker will come summarizing whatever we have said as the first and the second speaker. And me, the first speaker, I'm as well as going to give the reply speech of today's debate. So I will start by explaining the key terms that are mentioned in the motion. Digitalization. This is the conversion of text, pictures, or sound into a digital form that can be processed by a computer. Economy is the state of a country or region in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services and the supply of money. Complete. This means to a great extent or degree, or to achieve something totally. And achieve means getting something. 2030 is a year that we will be on 9 years from now. Digitalization as a full access to digital infrastructure, if needed, is what we are going to mainly put our emphasis on. So, as the proposition side, what we are advocating for in today's debate is for boosting. We are going to boost what already exists, what the government has already achieved, or what the government has already put in place. We are going to make it easier. We support what already existing. We are going to boost it in a more efficient way. We are going to make everyone digitally and going to make services accessible through digitalization and making it a necessity by putting solutions. The why we are advocating for this is boosting other sectors. It's very nice that we're going to boost these other sectors because it will be a great opening, a great way to reach to our plan that we have already given above of advocating for boosting what already exists, which the government has put in place. So, digitalization. The main thing we are going to talk about is who can access cellular network, and who are going to the people who are going to be in charge, or the policies which are going to take responsibility here is the Ministry of ICT, the National Bank of Rwanda, and the other policies which are responsible in digitalization sectors, in the different digitalization sectors, and how we are going to advocate for this. Mainly, I'm going to talk about the source of funds and where how we find this. The budgetary allocation, the budgetary allocation is the main thing in our plan, whereby we focused on getting 5% from the other services which already bring in income in our economy as Rwanda. We are going to get 5% in each sector which enters income in our country, and that's the income that we are going to use. Therefore, dear judges, there will be no any problem of income in our plan here. And what we are going to do, this 5% from each sector, those sectors include services, the different services that are being provided, agriculture, industrialization. Those are the different sectors, dear judges. I'm talking about that we are going to get this 5%. This is the budgetary allocation that we are going to use to get the 100%, which is what we need to reach onto this. And this 100%, which will be got from the 5% from each sector, is going to be used by the government to put the network lines, which is going to support our main thing, lowering the cost of marathons and extending branches. That's also a process we are going to go through, and sensitizing people through the media to use digital platforms. As those are the ways that we are going to make it. So how this of extending the network lines and lowering the cost of the phones, sensitizing people through the media to use the digital platforms, this will stick to the status quo. Is a very good example here. We already have mobile money. We already have token. And already have the marathons. And next thing and the most important thing, we already have electricity. And according to the NDG Network Development Group, we already know that by 2024, the whole country will be electrified. So that's a very good step that we are going to reach
Yep.
onto this. So if we already have the
I know.
desert and we already have the mobile money and we already have Taekwondo, so this is a very good step that we have reached
First speaker,
the.
please.
So
Thank you so much.
remind about time when we clap twice, you need to stop at that very moment.
Thank you so much, first speaker proposition. Can we have first speaker opposition speaking?
Thank you very much. My name is Victor from the opposition side.
Can you please speak up?
Thank you very much. My name is Victor from the opposition side. Depending on the most need that complete utilization of Rwandan economy can be achieved by 2030. I'll first begin with a simple story. It goes, one man loved flying very much, and he envied birds. But then one day he went on top of a mountain, and then he fell off a cliff. The story very sad that the man died, ladies and gentlemen. So, dear judges, I will proceed. I will first talk about their plan. They say that they're going to boost what's already existing, and how they're going to boost it, they're going to, establish this cyber network. Ladies and gentlemen, dear judges, we still have 38.5% of the Rwandans who are under the poverty line. So we've got to look at it first, ladies and gentlemen. How can you tell me that their main need, they need food, they need employment, they need money, so they can support their livelihood? How can you tell me they're going to treat cyber network as the main need of the people, ladies and gentlemen? Number two, according to the NSIR, LISR, 75% of Rwandan homes with dirty floors linked to diseases such as now, can you please tell me how are you going to give technology to these people? How are you going to set them inside units if they're actually they are good houses, they need good medication, they need good job, they need income, they need food, ladies and gentlemen. So tell me, how are you going to bring this kind of people and give them what they don't need? So would rather get that money and then after invest it in electricity. We need electricity around the world. Many people in poor areas don't have electricity. Why don't you get that source of income? Then after the income you get, or the money that you get to use in your plan, the one that you will use for digitalization. Why can't you get and put it in electricity around the country? And second of all, the plan didn't say you tell us how we're going to be achieved in 9 years. Only 9 years from 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, they said that 5% allow
Point of information, please.
allow
Allowed.
Point of information, please. Thank you very
Granted.
much, dear Judge. I go by name. I would like to answer this question of electricity, taking this money to electricity. Dear Judge, according to NDGA, it states that by 2024, the whole country will be electrified. By 2024, this is in progress. The country has it in mind. The country is going to take this money. Already the money is there. So why do we take that money in electricity when there is already a plan to take the money in electricity?
Yes, my second speaker will come to that as I proceed. He said that 5% will come from other sectors like reallocation of the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, after the pandemic, the government allocated this funds already. So how can you tell me this sector is already being affected? You need to allocate the funds twice. That will be harming them, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, they think look the plan look pretty, but ladies and gentlemen, they're really trying to harm this sector that already been harmed going. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not advocating for that. And also they say they're going to make services available. They didn't how are you going to make this service available to people who already have other necessities, other needs that so you first meet the needs of the people. Then after you utilize the economy, then after you do whatever you want, but first meet the needs of these people. I have some three questions to ask the proposition side. What proof do you have that your plan will work? And also, what assurance are you giving us, the proposal, that your plan will work in 9 years, ladies and gentlemen? Number two, how sure that your plan has never been implemented elsewhere? Ladies and gentlemen, looks like I forgot to define the motion, but complete digitalization is the use of digital technologies to change our business model and provide new revenue and value producing opportunities. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll let the proposition side when they come back to answer this question. What guarantee do you have? What guarantee that do you have that your plan will work out in this 9 years? And how sure are you that your plan has never been implemented elsewhere? And also, my second speaker will come to you and also explain to you about the timeline, explain to you how it cannot be achieved in 9 years. And my third speaker will also talk about the social fund and also summarize what we've done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Having heard from the first speaker from the opposition, let's have the second speaker from proposition. But I would love to ask if someone is speaking, let your microphones be mute. And when you want to ask a point of information, you can unmute yourself. Plus, don't exceed 10 minutes in asking a point of information. Yeah, so I would love to call the second speaker from proposition.
Thank you, dear judge. Now, as the first speaker mentioned, I go by the names of Mujisha Jerry, and I'm the second speaker on the proposition side, debating upon the motion that states that this House believes that complete digitalization of Rwandan economy can be achieved by 2030. Now, before I get to elaborate more on our plan, let me first refute a few points that the first speaker from the opposition side said. Now, the first speaker from the opposition side said that 38.5% of Rwandans are under the poverty line, so why shouldn't we focus on this? Now, to answer this, I want to tell you why we are doing this. Why are we advocating for complete digitalization? The reason is because digitalization is the main key to economic development, meaning that if we achieve complete digitalization, we are able to boost other sectors, thus reducing the percentage of Rwandans under the poverty line. Another thing I want to say is that the first speaker said that what proof asked us a question that what proof do we have that our plan will work. Now to answer that, I want to focus on a report made by Data Reporter. Yes, allowed.
You're saying that this digitalization will work on this poverty line and make it better. How are you going to how are you going to enforce digitalization with people who are hungry, giving them all the things needed for digitalization? While they are hungry, they don't have anywhere to sleep. So prove us how you're going to work with these people when there is poverty before there is a total digitalization. Thank you.
Enough. Thank you. Now let me get back. I'll answer that when I get the time. Now let me get back to what I was saying. You asked us a question that what proof do we have that our plan will work? Now, according to a report made by Data Reporter, it says that 73.9% of people in Rwanda already have mm, already have phones and access to cellular networks. This is a big percentage from 2001. That is 20 years, but achieving 72.9%. And dear judges, don't you think that the rest, the percentage that is remaining, can be achieved in 9 years? For example, we as mathematicians, we calculated it and said and seen that 26.1% can be achieved in only 7 years, and that is with the status quo. But we are bringing in more money, more funding, more experience to boost it. So it might even take like 5 years to accomplish this. Now, this is a good promise of how Rwanda can achieve this. Another thing is that, according to Data Reporter, Rwanda is named the first in the world for network readiness and the second in the world for ICT promotion. These three are good promises for a better future with complete digitalization of the Rwandan economy. Another thing, now the one thing that I want to say, I want to elaborate more on what my first speaker said. Now, what are we advocating for? We are advocating for supporting the status quo, but making it better, boosting it in order to achieve complete digitalization in 2030. Now, why are we doing this? We are doing this because digitalization is the main key to economic development. For example, these countries that are named first world countries, they are named this way because they are completely digitalized. Now we want to digitalize our economy because we want our economy to improve. Another thing is that I want to talk about how we are going to do this by establishing policies which include setting limitations to liquidity, where a person or institution that wants to make transactions that are above 10 million will have to use these mobile banking services like Momo or e-banking or things like those. Another policy is that everyone who has a phone would have a digital wallet like Momo or Airtel Cash, things like that. The third and last policy is that every bank or microfinance institution should make mobile banking compulsory. So the other thing, probably the last thing that I want to talk about is the impacts and benefits of this complete digitalization. They include increased bank deposits. For example, if an economy has complete digitalization, people deposit money a lot more and increase the of the bank. That's
Hello.
thing they of the Another impact or benefit is that money will be easily portable even in large amounts.
Thank you so much. Does the team still has internet?
Dear Judge, we say that if 79% was achieved by people by serial network, dear Judge, so the 26.1% remaining, dear Judge, create job opportunities to people making these platforms, dear Judge, the Irembo. People are going to get employed, dear Judge. We also have this disaster recovery. We will be recovering from this from this disaster due to digitalization. Dear Judge, as I summarize this, dear Judge, I would like to make this clear for them, dear Judge. We need to do this to achieve our results, dear Judge. Implementing the policies, making a follow-up, dear Judge. We're going to make incentives for the private sector, dear Judge. We're doing this to decrease the poverty that we're talking about, dear Judge. The full access to digital infrastructure is a good way to boost is the road that is taking us to 2050. Dear Judge, we are welcoming you to our side, saying that this digitalization will do more good than harm. Dear Judge, if digitalization is achieved in 2050, it will be a good thing to the economy. There is no harm completely. Dear Judge, as the opposition side, I will never. Thank you very much. I rest my case.
Okay, having heard from the third speaker opposition, let's hear from the third speaker opposition.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Hyenas Jr., the third speaker to the opposition team. And we would like to come back to what they said about what they said on how they're gonna bring up the digitalization. We would like to remind you that throughout the COVID, the economy of the country also decreased. This is a statistic where the GDP of the Rwandan economy decreased by 12% after COVID. So it is hard for Rwanda to completely digitalize the whole country by 2030. We are not here saying that we're against the complete digitalization. We're just saying by 2030 it is not possible because Rwanda was hit by COVID just like every other country in the world. This COVID broke down the economy. It led to It went to unexpected changes in the economy budget as the country took money from these sectors and put it in other sectors that needed this money in order to contribute and help the COVID and decrease the COVID or just people who are hit by the COVID. And yes, so they talked about also the reallocation of funds. Dear Judge, let me remind you that these sectors were already reallocated because of COVID. Let's take an example from the health. As my second speaker said, some of the sectors its funds were reallocated to the health center as they were hit badly by the COVID-19. This is shown by where people were being treated in homes. They did not deny. This is shown by when people were treated in homes. This is because the country doesn't want to treat people in hospitals. This is because the country does not have enough money to put people in hospitals because the hospitals are not that much. They denied, and yes, so the country is facing a lot of economic difficulties in order to accomplish this. The complete digitalization denied. So yes, they said that they're gonna take money from the World Bank and they have external donations. Let me remind you that the country does not get donations just because they want to get donations and get richer. This is because they don't have a lot of money to fund its already in country problems, and they need donations to complete these problems that are in the country by the economy. So they also said that COVID helped in boosting the technology. Yes, it did, but in the process, again, the economy decreased. I repeat again, the economy decreased at a GDP decreasing.
Point of information, please.
Allowed.
Thank you very much, the Honorable. You say the GDP decreased. Dear Judge, I say that every sector will be optimized. I'm not taking the money from the national budget. I'm not taking the money from the GDP. Dear Judge, this money is going to be optimized. We're not going to harm it. We're going to take a small portion. We're going to take a small portion and not taking the whole money. We're not getting that money from there. We're getting money from sectors. Dear Judge, they said the unexpected changes of COVID-19. Dear Judge, COVID-19 was a pandemic. We allowed that, but it helped us to digitalize it. It helped us to reach there. It's the reason why digitalization is continuing. Dear
Thank
Judge,
you.
he
Thank you,
said
Mark.
that. He said that.
And I will refute this by saying again, you're telling us that you're taking money from sectors portions. Yes, there are little portions, but these portions have already been taken due to COVID. The country already reallocated this money
Point of
to other
information.
sectors that are in need denied. And yes, so why are you reallocating from the already reallocated sectors? We don't get this. They never explained why. So yes, they told also about why we're talking about common
Point
illiteracy,
of
not knowing
information.
how
Point of
to
information.
they're here presenting us the fact of technical literacy. How are you going to tell a person who is illiterate to type letter S, P, E, D? What they don't know what that means. They don't know what it is. And yes, and again, let me bring back the point of the electricity, everything that was in their 2024 plan. These plans these plans were thought of before COVID-19 hit. When COVID-19 hit, these all these plans changed because the country faced unexpected changes in its economy through balancing, helping people, and also keeping the financial state stable. So yes, dear judge, we don't agree with this. And coming back to their impacts, the job creation in these job creation, please tell me how you're going to use a janitor in digital world. We can see that you're going to be mostly using skilled labor because you're going to be including a lot of IT people, mostly skilled labor. So there's still going to be a number of people and a large number of people who are going to be suffering because they don't have a lot of computer and digital. They don't have a lot of knowledge about that, and they didn't explain to us how this whole plan of theirs is gonna help cyber hacking and cybercrime. Because again, this, as we all know, if there's an increase in cyber networks, there is gonna be a lot increase also in cyber crimes for the done by other people. Now, let me come back to what our group said. Our group said that the country is. Thank you.
Yes. As you have heard from all the speakers, we are going to again have the reply speech. But before we have the reply speech, you're going to be only given uh, 2 minutes to prepare for it as you discuss towards it, and then we kick off for the reply speech. All right, all right. Hope you are now ready for the reply speech. And as we know, the reply speech has 4 minutes, uninterfered, no interruption, no points of information, and it starts from the opposition. The opposition is the one that gives the reply speech first. As we all know, the proposition starts the debate and also concludes the debate. So we are going to have the reply speech for 4 minutes from the opposition side, and then proposition later. So we call upon the person to give the reply speech from the opposition side.
Okay, I'm the second speaker from the opposition side, and I'm going to give the reply speech.
Sorry, when the 1 minute remains, I will show you 1 minute remains. So you can start. Yeah.
So we start.
Okay, here I start. I'm going to give the reply speech. And first of all, we showed them how COVID declined the money in the sectors already, but they didn't show us how they're not going to affect these sectors by getting 5% from those sectors while they're already declined by the COVID-19. And also, we told them about cyber crimes. They did not tell us how they're going to deal with that if they start increasing. I mean, if they start with complete digitalization. And they never explained us how they will compensate the money they took from those already falling sectors. And
Can someone mute? Team two mute. Okay, continue.
And they didn't even understand what we're talking about. They say that we're against digitalization, while we told them that we were just concerned about the time being small in period. And they gave us false statistics, which we checked, and it wasn't true because we gave them all sorts of information, but they did not. And they gave us a confusing definition to the keyword of the motion, digitalization, which we checked on the internet, and it wasn't like it was really confusing. It didn't match anything on the internet, while our definition to the keyword digitalization matched all the information on the internet. So they should have given us their source of information so we could check if that's true. And we also gave them burdens, but they did not answer. There are some questions we asked them questions. They answered some of them, and they didn't answer others. Like we asked them to prove how their plan will work. We asked them if they are sure that their plan hasn't been performed elsewhere, and they didn't tell us how they're sure about that. And yeah, we also told them about the other priorities, that the country needs to take care of. They didn't show us how their plan will work very good and take care of the priorities and also take care of digitalization, so that all will be covered in only 9 years. Thank you. And also, they didn't explain how they are going to digitalize the economy with still a percentage of 22.9% of people under poverty line being there hungry. Yeah, that's true. So, thank you.
Okay, you're done?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear from the reply speech from the proposition team.
Thank you so much. But the name is Abishim again, and I'm here to give the reply speech. Okay. First of all, we came here and made everything clear, and they literally didn't understand. They came here and told us that the money, we are saying that we will reallocate from the other services and other sources of income which the government that it has already been reallocated. Dear Judge, we came here and made it clear. They said that this money has already been reallocated in the solutions of COVID, which was a pandemic that affected us. And this is wrong information because we all know. We came here and told you that the pandemic coronavirus, the money that was used to cover it up was the money which we got from the World Health Organization and the World Bank. So there is no way they can come and tell us the money that was used to solve the COVID was from these services, yet we showed them that the money that we are going to reallocate is from these services. So no money was got from these services before. That's why we came and made it clear that we are getting a small portion of percentage, that's 5% that we said, which will be used. And yeah, they came here and told us that how will we achieve our plan. Exactly, we told them what the source of income, the budgetary allocation, 5% from each sector. That's the income. There is no way they can tell us that we're not going to achieve. Yet we showed them, even we gave them the plan and the years. We told them that in 20 years we have already achieved 73.9%. So if there was 20 years, the 26 years, dear judge, this can be achieved in the 9 years. And as we mathematically calculated, this can also be achieved in the 7 years. But as the motion states that 9 years, so there's no way that we cannot achieve this. Yet mathematically calculated, this was 73, which was achieved in 20 years, and the 26.1, which is left, there's no way it can not be achieved in these 7 years, so we gave even the proper plan. And another thing, they say that the illiteracy rate, dear judge, we came here and made it clear. For example, using tap and go, using mobile money, there's no any illiteracy on that. If someone tells you that just get this card and tap here, who can do that? Even an illiterate person can do that. What they came here saying that is the illiteracy of reading and writing. Yet that we say that there are policies that we say to them they will follow. People will provide the services to them. So illiteracy is not a problem that the people will face, especially this services that, for example, tap and go and Momo, it's something that someone not illiterate can easily know just by telling them. Another thing, they came here, they told us that we already have a deficit budget as a country. Yes, dear Dad, Rwanda as a country has that. But there is no way we are affecting this. There's no way we are making the budget more deficit. But we are literally helping the budget to digitalization will literally help the budget to go away because we're not getting the money from any services that it will affect the budget to become more deficit. No, dear Dad, the 5% which we say, and we say the 5% we say we will get from each service, it will cause no harm from in any way. It will not increase the deficit budget. So there's no way that they can tell that we already have a deficit budget. Yes, that's something that's already there, and that's something we are already trying to cover up as we told them. So dear Dad, the deficit budget, there's no way we're going to increase it. Another thing they made a very big point, which was that the health sector already affected the economy. Dear Dad, we already made it clear that the health sector was covered up by the money which was given to the country by World Health Organization and the World Bank. So there's no way the health sector affected our income. Yet the money that was used to cover it up was from the World Health Organization and the World Bank. And dear Judge, we came and made it clear that this coronavirus was a very
Okay. Yeah, as we have heard from both teams, it was an awesome debate, and this has drawn us to the closing of the first session of it, or the first round of it. As you know, we are going to just move into the feedbacks before you go into another room. So we are going to just give you feedbacks, and then we remain into the as you know, this is a knockout round. So we will not. They will disclose. They will give you the teams that will win. You will know them when you reach into the room. So we are just going to give you the overview of the debate due to the feedbacks on things that you can improve, the things that you've done well, that you can continue doing well, and also give you how it went overall. So I will start with Michael Judge to give you some feedbacks as we continue.
Thank you so much, Hyaka. Can you all hear me? It was a very nice debate, and I thank both teams for doing a very nice research on the topic. A very quick feedback on the proposition team. They know very well the speakers' roles, and their style was very good. They are good debaters, and they are confident about their content, and they tried to drive the point home by giving us so many examples and highlighting the sources of information. That is very good, and we appreciate that as the judges. And if it happens that you move to the next round, please keep that. That is very good. And what I can say as an area of improvement, if it happens that you move to the next round, maybe if you try to define the keywords in the motion, please try to be specific. And if you are giving us maybe definitions from Wikipedia and different dictionaries, it's better that you highlight that. But there are some sources that are not recommended. For example, Wikipedia, so many people, they can go on the internet and write what they think. So it's better if you give us like well-known or international sources. It is always a good practice for debaters. And also you have to try to avoid mentioning personal examples, because we don't know what you live in your daily lives. So it will be better if you give us like examples that are supported maybe by different websites or different books. Because if you say a friend was hungry and he couldn't do this and this, we can't really know that you are saying the truth. So it's better if you give us concrete examples that are supported. And the same goes to the opposition side as well. Also, I had the personal examples being given as examples to support some of the arguments. And it will be better as well if you try to give us like well-known examples that can be found on different sources on the internet or in different books. And there are so many. The third speaker from the opposition side didn't mention the sources of different statistics given. For example, saying that the economy decreased by 12%, like he didn't really mention the source. And we are always looking for the source of information. Are you trying to forge the information that you are giving to your opponent so that you can win them, or you are trying to say examples and facts that are supported? So please make sure you always mention the source of information. It will always be good. And something else, I heard it from the third speaker from the proposition. There was a contradiction. Like she was confusing 2030 and 2050. So you have to stick to one thing. Because if there is a contradiction, like it made us wonder if you have the same motion or if it's a question maybe of fear or something else. So always try to be constant in what you are saying. That is my feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. She has given us feedback. I also will give my feedbacks, starting with thanking you both teams for getting this time and stand out to speak. It shows how you really I got to be good speakers and debaters and leaders of today and tomorrow. I would love also to give feedbacks. I liked the fact that two teams were very competitive, but I'll start with the motion itself. When we look at the motion, both teams, you really, okay, one side probably, you really had to show us how, as you defined the keywords, complete digitalization of Rwanda economy achieved, you see. But when you look at what you are starting from the proposition, when you look at what you gave us, mostly you're giving us as if it's a policy motion. This motion is analytical, it's not a policy. So in an analytical motion, you just have to draw your points on showing how you believe it's possible, not how you will do it. You see, because most of the points you are giving us, the plans you'll use, the plans that you will be using, we will do this, we will do this. But the issue is, we are not wondering what you are planning to do, but can it be achieved by 2030? Because the motion stately took. This house believes that complete. It's a complete, which really, when you go to the next round, you need to make sure that you know that either teams on this round. If you're the opposition, look at the motion and how it is. So that's why sometimes it's really great to understand the motion and understand how it's being driven. As my fellow judge said, that you don't have to mix points uh, from another view. As she said, you talked about the vision 2050, that how it will boost the pillars and sorts of which was refuted in the in the opposition. Also, another thing, you need to be specific. Yes, the second speaker from proposition came and talked about we are mathematicians, but then the source of it, how are you calculating it? As you say, you are mathematicians, but it has to have a recorded, certified, or a valid information. Not assuming that when you calculate it in 73, but how is it analyzed by statistics that are being given? And also, what I can add on is speakers' roles. Make sure you understand your speakers' roles very well. And like, for example, let me talk about the third speakers mostly. When you come as a third speaker, your main job is to, build on to refuting other points and show how your points are very strong. But mostly, what both teams did, they are more of refuting and less of showing how what their team were bringing out. So it gives us a confusion of knowing, okay, you've refused this, but what are you bringing as a team? Yeah, thank you. And lastly, it's about time. Use your time well. Some people are leaving some seconds, others were exceeding more. It's really great to use your time fully and know when to comply with your work. I liked the teamwork of two teams. Keep on the teamwork, like the points of information. Also, ask questions and also the answering of the questions, which was really great. And also, yeah, that's the main issue. So look at the motion, look at its direction. So because for us, the audience and the judges actually, you can our job is to get well to know where you're driving us. But if you drive us in a confusional road or journey, we might end up not getting what you're saying. So look at the motions. They are if it's this house believes that, understand it's not a policy motion. It's a analytical motion. You give views on and facts on to what your views are based on. So thank you very much. You can go to the room. I think the room that we started with, or so that you can get other views for the next session. If there is any question, any question? Okay, someone has a question.
Well, what room are we going to?
I think you will look onto the next session where you have your debates. That will be better. But you can first go to the. Let me see. Well, try to go back to where we started from the opening and see, and then if you find there are some people, they will guide you. Are you getting me?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Benin.
I think if you're going,
Hello?
you're going to go in the room, in the, I don't know which room are you? So the next thing. You're here again?
Yes, Benin.
Hello, Renes.
So if
Renes.
you cannot have another round, then you're going to leave this room
Rene.
so that you work.
Rene.
Yes, Marshall. Yes, I
Aha.
can
You
hear
can.
you.
I wanted to know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is session two.
Yeah, this is session two.
Hello. Okay, okay. So these are the teams. So where are the other judges?
I was in the other session. I was look. They were finalizing the reply speeches and they gave the feedbacks and everyone was out.
Then
So I don't know now
yeah.
where did they go.
Okay, give them 2 minutes and try to remind them on the judges platform.
All right.
Send them, a reminder, a quick reminder on the judges platform.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, teams, can you put on your cameras, please, if you can hear me? The teams. Okay, so are you guys from the same school? You're not from the same school. Okay. Which is which is Team Rhinos? The Rhinos? The Rhinos. The Zebras?
It's us. We are the zebras. We're the
You're the
zebras.
Zebras. And
Yeah,
are you proposing or opposing?
we're opposing.
You're opposing. Now, what's the name of the other team? Hello? The other team, GHA Team 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking what's the name of your team?
Can you repeat?
Rhinos.
Rhinos. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the other judge is here, Pascaline. Hello?
Hi.
So, Rhinos, you are proposing.
Mm, You're proposing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are proposing.
Okay.
You are the government side. Okay. Two judges are not in yet. It seems even they can't hear us.
How will
Yeah, the zebras can hear, but the others, I can see them, but they are not giving any sign. They're not showing any signs of whether they hear us or not. Can you put on the microphone GHA Team 2? Let me try typing.
Can you please repeat? The sound here is poor. Can you please repeat?
Can you hear as well? Rene?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have a problem. Get as well. They are picking up late.
Rhinos.
The other team here, GHA Team 2.
So they cannot pick anything.
They can, but I feel like they are receiving they can hear us late, and they are picking up late.
Okay. Let me try them up. Can rhinos raise their hands? Rhinos, can you raise your hands? Okay, let me talk to their patron.
All right.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I don't know
Said,
for the other judges.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear the rhinos now? Hey, Shaka,
Yeah.
you can hear the rhinos now.
Yes.
So you guys are good.
yeah.
Rhinos,
Yeah.
can you wave at me? Rhinos, thank you. I guess everything is sorted now. Okay, good. So good luck, guys.
Thank you.
So, hello. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. As you know, the rules are still the same as the ones in the first round. Quick reminder that it's a knockout debate. So before we go on, I would love to introduce myself. I'm Shaka Jesse, and I will call upon other judges also to introduce themselves.
Um, my name's Herman. I'm from Tanzania. I'm also a judge and adjudicator in this session, so I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to having a nice debate session. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Pascaline Ingabire. I'm from Rwanda and I'll be part of the panel of adjudicators. May the best team win.
All right. First of all, I'll give the rules of the timekeeping, as I'll be doing the timekeeping. Yeah, you know, each speaker has 7 minutes. Apart from the reply speech has 4 minutes. I'll be clapping after the first minute, which means the points of information will be allowed, and then I'll clap during the last minute, so that you understand that points of information are over, and then that means that it will be protected time. And then if you're remaining with 10 minutes, I will use my fingers as a sign, counting down your last 10 seconds. So your last 10 seconds, I'll use a countdown of my fingers, and then when the time is elapsed, I'll clap for it. If there is any other judge who wants to give their view, let me.
Mine is just to stress more on trying to be accurate, because it's an online debate session. It could be nice if one team, if one person is speaking, others are quiet, and the other team or anyone else has muted their microphone so that we can hear you. Because being audible is one of the most important things. It's an online debate session, so if there are a lot of noise, background noises, and all that, we won't be able to hear you, and you might be submitting a very important argument, and that can make you not pass the debate session. So be very mindful of the noises and all that, so that you can maintain your chances of having a clear debate. That's all.
All right. You guys, you can submit your names in the I think one of the discuss or Q&A, according to you, the speakers, like the first speaker, the second speaker, according to you, the speakers, like the first speaker, the second speaker, the third speaker, plus your team name. So you can write them down in the discussion slot at the right hand side. I don't know if you're seeing it. You write your names accordingly to the speaker's role, so that we can be able to know which speaker is speaking. If you can do that very fast, it will be great. Are you hearing? GHA team, have you had? You're doing it, you're writing it.
Omari, I've not seen your names. I've seen the names for JSA Team 2. The Zebras.
Yeah, all right. I think we have all names. So I would love to ask the second speaker. The second speaker from the proposition to read the motion.
No chance. This house believes that complete digitalization of Rwanda's economic sectors can be achieved by 2030.
Reread it again.
This house believes that complete digitalization of Rwanda's economic sectors can be achieved by 2030.
Okay, let's hear from the third speaker, opposition, to read the motion. Opposition has the right motion.
So you would like to correct that?
Yeah.
Read it.
This house believes that complete digitalization of Rwanda's economy can be achieved by 2030.
All right. Now I think we're on the right track. Sometimes if you have two different motions, it confuses the debate. So let's start from the proposition. First speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm about to start. So we are proposing this motion that says that this House believes complete digitalization of the Rwandan economy can be achieved by 2030. So we would first like by starting by rewording the motion and rephrasing it into a motion that says that this House believes that complete digitalization of Rwanda's major economic sectors can be achieved by 2030. That means that we are setting a boundary around the agriculture sector and the tourism sector, which are the major sectors. We're about to prove why they are the major sectors in the Rwandan economy and that they have low risks of diminishing. So I'd like to first move on to defining the keywords. Complete digitalization, we're defining it as hyperconnectivity, where current workers in these sectors use technology for efficiency. So this means that human beings are not being replaced by robots and technology. It just means that they are using technology to make their work more efficient and to increase output. So we are also defining Rwandan economic sectors as the area of the economy that takes a big sum of the employment and revenue of the economy. And lastly, achieved by pulling off an objective or being able to attain this by 2030. So I'm about to show you how, first of all, why these three sectors are the major sectors in the economy, the possibility, achievability, and ability of applying digitalization by 2030 and how it's going to be done. So first of all, since 1994, Rwanda's GDP in billions has had a continuous progressive rise from $4 billion to $36 billion in 2020. So this facts are to prove that Rwanda's economy is progressive and it's growing. Rwanda's economy has a 9.4 annual growth rate from 2K19. And since then, Rwanda's economy has continuously healing economically from the pandemic compared to other nations around us. So Rwanda was able to bounce back from the genocide economically. So why can't it do so from the COVID-19 pandemic? and that from the World Bank, we're able to collect information that says that since the pandemic, the economy's GDP dropped by 0.2% only from 2020. Now, about 350,400 people have been vaccinated, and 49,696 people have been fully vaccinated, so they've gotten 2 doses. This comes to prove that Rwanda is quite handling the COVID-19 pandemic very well, and economically, it is bouncing back step by step by taking the measures needed and by vaccinating the people in order to bounce back, and then the economic activities are able to resume back to normal. So the agriculture sector, to prove why it's important, why these 2 sectors are the most important, sorry to correct that, agriculture contributes to 31% of Rwanda's GDP, employing 70% of the population. The tourism sector, on the other hand, contributes more than $600 million annually, with 92% of job opportunities. So this comes to show that these 2 sectors bring in the most revenue in the economy, as well as offer
information do you speak?
I'm going to give you a moment. A large sum of job employment in the economy. So Rwanda has a plan to become a middle-income country by 2035. And thereafter, when that plan is reached, they have a plan to move on to a high-income country by 2060. So these plans show that digitalization of these 2 sectors needs to be done as soon as possible, as to contribute to the attainability of the 2035 plan. We need efficiency in these sectors in order to be able to reach this plan of middle-income country and thereafter high-income country by 2060. So now I'm going to move on to explaining my plan and how we're going to make this happen. First of all, the timeline is 10 years from now, in 2030, and the funds, if you may ask, from the Digital Economy Initiative for Africa, a sector in the World Bank meant to digitalize economies in Africa. That means that the World Bank is going to contribute to a percentage of funding these digitalization activities of the economy, of these 2 sectors of the economy in Rwanda. Thereafter, it doesn't mean that the whole burden is going to lie on the budget of the Rwandan government, but instead some of the support or the funds is also going to come from this sector of the World Bank. You may ask your question now.
Part of information. So, what's your case?
My second speaker is going to answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah, so are we done with the first speaker? So let's hear from the first speaker, opposition.
Okay, good afternoon, dear judges. My name is Aritirezi Kizuzo Melissa, first speaker from the opposition side, with my second speaker, Umwari Abibeni, and third speaker, Shaka Pascal, opposing the motion that states that this House believes that complete digitalization of Rwandan economy can be achieved by 2030. Dear judges, before I go any further, I'll first refute what the first speaker from the opposition side just said. Dear judges, they came here and say that that Rwanda's economy is healing. They talked about how there is a GDP drop of 0.3% and only, they added only judges. But let me remind you that the projected sum of GDP growth was 8%. So 0.3% decline is a lot, judges. And besides, they're focusing on how there is an improve of economic growth. But the question here is Rwanda able to achieve complete digitalization of Rwandan economy, dear judges? I go by 2030, dear judges. I go on by here. Their main keywords There are main keywords that the first speaker from the proposition side omitted. Complete means having all the necessary or appropriate parts, and to can means total possibility. And we're going to show you that yes, we agree that Rwanda can attain complete digitalization. We agree that there is need for this complete digitalization to achieve efficiency. But what we disagree on is that by 2030 it cannot be achieved. And then they say that the timeline for their plan is going to be 10 years. Their math is broken because, as we all know, the fiscal year starts from 1st July to 31st June. Considering that we are almost in the middle of the year, it means that we are only remaining with 8 years, dear judges. I don't know where they got that 10%. So as we are going to, we as a proposition side are going to show you that there is need in order to achieve this complete digitalization. There is a need to teach agriculture, as they said. There is need for more enhanced agriculture teaching. There is more enhanced mobile phone ownership that is needed. There is limited internet usage. There is a gap in digital skills. To solve all that, we have come up with the case line that says that there is eradication of there is a need. That is why we are going to eradicate poverty and digital illiteracy and then tackle the digitalization of economy by 2050. To prove you that, we're going to base on 3 main arguments. The first one, there is low level of digitalization in agriculture while it's the backbone of Rwanda's economy. The second argument, there is weak local demand of digital services, discouraging private sector-led economy. And the third one, there is need of poverty eradication so as to achieve digital transformation. So now, about the low level of digitalization in agriculture. So as we all know, Rwanda economy relies highly on agriculture. So for the digitalization, complete digitalization of Rwandan economy to be achieved, there has to be a high level of digitalization in agriculture sector. And that is not possible. Because to achieve this complete digitalization in agriculture, there is need of a workforce that is actually trained for ICT in agriculture, because agriculture, digitalized agriculture implies automated steering systems. It implies fertilizer, data-driven targeted application of fertilizers and pesticides, field robots and drones, soil analysis sensors, autonomous driving, automated monitoring of free-ranging animals on pastures. All that is involved in digitalized agriculture. And yet that cannot be possible, because to implement all that in the agriculture of Rwanda, there is need for people, for a workforce in agriculture to be able to actually use that. They don't know how to use all that digitalization because this workforce is not trained. There is only 2 universities out of 38 universities in the country that is actually focusing specifically on agriculture. That is RICA, Rwanda Institute of Conservation and Agriculture, and the Department of Agriculture in the UR. And that is not enough. That is not enough to train people to actually work in agriculture and improve that digitalization of agriculture. Moreover, there is lack of affordability of all those machines and gadgets gadgets that would help in the implementation of the digitalized agriculture. And that brings us to our second argument, that there is a weak local demand of digital services, and then that low demand of digital services proves that there is a discouragement of the private sector-led economy in the engagement of the digitalization of economy. The private sector, for the government to be able to afford the introduction of all those gadgets in the agriculture, for it to be digitalized, we need the private sector. But the private sector is reluctant because there is low digital literacy. And this low digital literacy demands sensitization. We need people to understand that there is a growing need of digital literacy, but people in rural areas do not know about that. People in rural areas do not know what is the importance of a phone, what is the importance of these gadgets that are needed in agriculture, because for years and years they have been actually they have been using the traditional methods to improve agriculture, and now the government wants to introduce all these new gadgets, but they don't know how to do it. So they need to be sensitization so that people can actually understand they need these gadgets, and that understanding of the need of that gadgets will create a market, and the creation of that market will actually encourage the private sector to put money to invest in the affordability, in the provision of those gadgets needed for the implementation of digitalization in agriculture, and that cannot be done, and that cannot be done in only 9 years. There is still, and moreover, after people are sensitized, there is still the digital skills gap, dear judges. And this digital skills, there is a program that started called Ambassadors Digital Program, ADP, but it was put to a halt due to the COVID pandemic. The COVID pandemic requires social distancing, and this program, it cannot be done online, dear judges. It needs physical, and that was put to a halt. It means that the digital skills training was also put to a halt. All that discouraging the chances that digital literacy could be improved by 2030, dear judges. That is not possible. You know that, say that, Michael. Thank you.
All right. Having heard from the first speaker, opposition, let's call upon the second speaker, proposition.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start by answering some of the questions they've had for us. They seem to not understand that the pandemic can't carry on forever. As my first speaker have said, the country has been giving their citizens doses for the vaccine, and we're moving on very well. And a 10-year timeline will ensure that we have enough time to get out of the pandemic and help train everyone else for what's needed. A little more on our plan, we're focusing on the agricultural and tourism sector, as they seem to not understand. Our timeline is 2030, and in this we will use our funds that we've gotten from the Digital Economy Initiative for Africa to train and buy whatever is needed for completely digitalizing our economy. More on to answer what they had asked my first speaker, our case line, as she had stated, is we are going to use digitalization of our economy to move the country to a middle income to middle income. They need, for them to win the debate, they need to prove how the private sector is against this with specified statistics. So back to I'll give you time later. My case study, directly after the genocide against the Tutsi, the country's economy was at its worst. It was much lower and weaker than the post-COVID economy. After thorough research on our country's economy from sources such as the economic.oup.com, we found that there was 58% decrease in the GDP in 1994. This effect still corresponds to the decrease in GDP per capita of around 31% when taking into account the 800,000 people that were killed, and that around 2 million fled the country due to the genocide. If Rwanda was able to turn around an economy that was failing and going through terrible recession in just 17 years, what makes it incapable of digitalizing its economy in 10 years? The job is easier than the opposition is showing us, and we're here to prove that. So as a proposition, we believe Rwanda can reach and completely digitalization of the agriculture and tourism sector. We already have the financial source being the Digital Economy Initiative for Africa, which is a sector in the World Bank that aims to ensure that every individual, business, and government in Africa will be digitally enabled by 2030, according to the worldbank.org. I'll give you time later. So to go to why this is important. The importance of digitalizing the agricultural sector. We want to optimize the production processes and growth conditions in the agricultural sector, and this will lead to the increase of our economy in order to achieve all the other plans that the negative wanted to go to first. But we think that if we can first make the money, then we can find a way to separate it into all the different places that we need to give. So as as stated, as we're gonna state,
EOI.
I'll give you time later. The governmental services where Rwanda has already digitalized. When the government created the Irembo Citizen e-service portal in 2014, the idea was to help citizens submit applications to make payment of various services, thus shortening the gap between them and the administration. This was done not too long ago, 2014. So if we could do this in 2014, back in 2014, why can't we do the same thing in 8 years as the opposition have specified? Where it's been done in financial services, Rwanda has implemented the green policy from the NST1 by venturing into a cashless and paperless economy by 2024. By this, the country wants to trigger a mind shift and promote sustainable strategies in the long term. In collaboration with different technologies such as Pascal Technologies, a local tech startup, the government is distributing 20,000 motor meters to all taxi drivers in Kigali for free right now as we speak. So if we can do that right now, why can't we be able to completely digitalize the tourism and the agricultural sector? Now back to how the tourism would help Rwanda. Digitalizing our tourism will help us raise the country's GDP while also raising the number of jobs. And this, they haven't stated how will their counter plan raise jobs. If they can state us,
EOI.
allowed.
How can Irembo contribute to the digitalization of agriculture
We were giving an
in
example.
Nyamasheke district?
We were giving an example where this has already been done, and how this can be done in the next 8 years. How this is not as hard as you state, and if we follow your plan, what you want to do, we'll stay behind instead of going into our plan of being a middle-income country by 2035. And if we don't achieve this now, then we'll just fall behind on plans, and then we just keep on giving excuses that can't be backed up by statistics, by the way. And if you can please keep going. Thank you.
All right. Having heard from the second speaker proposition, let's hear from the second speaker opposition.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arunara Bibeni, and I'm the second speaker on the opposition side, going to oppose the motion that states that this House believes that complete digitalization of the economy of Rwanda can be achieved by 2030. And I will first start by refuting and asking a few questions. My first question will be, how much money is the DEI going to contribute to make sure that your plan will be implemented by 2030? And another thing, you came here and talked about Irembo, but you didn't show us how Irembo is actually helping the sectors you said you are going to help, tourism and agriculture. These are irrelevant to your debate. Going on, we did not say we do not understand the importance of digitalizing tourism. We understand the importance of digitalizing agriculture. The problem is, can it be achieved by 2030? The debate of today is, can it completely be achieved by 2030? So moving on, I would like to strengthen I'll talk about our second argument, which is the weak local demand of digital services discouraging private sector-led economy. As my first speaker said, agriculture already is facing problems. People are illiterate. They do not have devices. They do not have gadgets because of one reason and one reason only. They do not know how to use it and they cannot access these things. This problem could be solved though by the private sector engaging in this sector. But do you know the reason why this sector is not being involved in by the private sector? It's because a large basic digital gap still prevents a sizable part of the population adopting digital literacy together. People do not know how to use this. How are you going to tell a private businessman or company to invest in an area where he or she does not have people who will use it? He or she will have to educate these people. He or she will have to provide the materials and then go on and go on. The private sector is not very, very hyped up. It is very reluctant into joining because people do not know these things and don't use them. I will give you time. The Rwandan government once partnered with Korean Telecom. And today we have 96.6% of broadband of 4G all around the country, but it is being underutilized because of one reason and one reason only, because there is no affordability and there is no digital literacy. You're giving people 4G without giving them 4G connecting phones for what? You are giving people 4G when they do not know how to use 4G for what? And this brings me to my third argument, which is need of poverty eradication so as to achieve digital transformation. So, as you said, 76% of Rwandan people or the population depends on agriculture for employment. And currently the agricultural sector is facing a lot of impacts from the COVID-19. That's why we experience food shortage. That's why we experience a lot of the people have been complaining that there are cooperatives which practice poultry, which practice livestock, are facing expiration of their products because they're not being sold. And currently, the agricultural sector itself is not doing well. How about digitalizing this agricultural sector when it's already not doing well? We will have to get back from that again. And these people not making profits means they're becoming poorer and poorer. They talked about the GDP dropping by only 0.2%, but that my first speaker showed you that how that is really dropping by only 0.2%, but that my first speaker showed you that how that is really a big deal. And talking about the poverty in Rwanda is stopping people, even these farmers mostly, from accessing the internet, from accessing this gadget, because currently 1 gigabyte of a broadband is 1,000 francs, and the minimum wage of Rwanda is 100 francs, and the Rwandan median monthly income is $1. Are you telling me this is affordable? Are you telling me we will have to first eradicate the poverty that is making it unaffordable to them? Then we will look into digitalizing this economy. And that cannot be done in this remaining 8 fiscal years. Moving on, not only is that a hindrance, but most of the people, 82.5% of Rwandans live in the rural areas. These people who live in the rural areas, only 18% have electricity. Most of these people are agriculturalists. The agriculturalists do not have electricity. How are they going to be fully digitalized in these 8 years if only allowed? Okay, moving on. If they do not even have the electricity. And mind you, most of these people who have electricity, they have the kind of electricity that allows you to light. They do not have the electricity that allows you to connect machines, to bring processing plants, to digitalize. Actually, it is just only for giving you light. And we have only 8.4% of the population is digitally illiterate. Tell me how you're going to take these people who are digitally illiterate and digitalize them in 8 years. Moving on. In 2017, 44% of primary schools and 60.2% of secondary schools, they had access to computers in ICT. And today, 12% in primary school and 41.3% in secondary school have access to internet, making the remaining part, they're only learning it theoretically. And this means these people are not digitally literate. First, develop this digital literacy, and then maybe in 2050, you can digitalize the whole economy and the agricultural sector. We understand that that can be achieved, but not in these 8 years, because in these 8 years, it just cannot happen with this much digital illiteracy. And only 0.2% have physical of the population have a fixed broadband subscription. People are not even using internet. How are you going to fully digitalize the economy when people are already not even accessing the internet or even using it? So I would like to state our poverty and digital literacy, then digitalize the economy.
Okay, having heard from the second speaker, opposition, let's hear from the third speaker, proposition.
Okay, hello, my name is Harrison, and I'll start by saying that the opposition has not clearly heard our definition of digitalization of the economy, because we were talking about hyperconnectivity and efficiency in communication. They did not seem to understand that, so they have been debating in a different way than what we were doing. They have been focusing on, they've talked about school and about schools when that is relevant to the debate. Our first speaker has said that we have been growing. They have said that 0.2% of the economy is a lot, but we've come back from much worse. COVID-19 affecting the economy in a negative way is expected, but Rwanda has come back from much worse. It's not something that's terrible or horrible, because we've come back from much worse. We've come back from a 38% decline in the economy, and as we have stated before, so a 0.2% drop is nothing to Rwanda's economy. It's something we can recover. And secondly, we have stated in our plan how digital literacy is in our plan. We are going to teach them to do that. We are going to help them learn how to. Allowed.
Effects of genocide are still there, though.
We're not denying they aren't, but the effects on the economy are, compared to 94 and today, the effects in the economy are very little if you compare the genocide to COVID-19. So what you were saying about it being a big problem is irrelevant. So I will continue by saying that what you were saying about it being a big problem is irrelevant. So I will continue by saying that you said we talked about eradicating poverty. That is something that is feasibly impossible to do. So why should we focus on something? No, denied. Why should we focus on eradicating poverty? Something it's impossible to be done in this little amount of time that no country has done before. Why should we focus on something so impossible and focus on something impossible like digitalization? And as you said, why should you ask us why we shouldn't do it by 2050? Because we already have other plans. Rwanda has a lot of plans to do. By 2050, we have a plan of becoming a middle-income country by 2035 and a high-income country by 2050. We cannot do that if we don't digitize the economy, if we don't work on improving the economy that way. You talked about robots in that way. You talked about robots in a certain way, and as we said, you did not understand the definition of digitalization. So that is wrong. You said a lack of budget. We mentioned where we're getting a budget from the World Bank and the BEI, and COVID-19 has been denied. As I said, you said the 9 year is not a lot of time. It is a lot of time. It is a time because digital literacy is not something hard to teach. It is something that's feasibly teachable in 9 years, and it's easy to identify. Our second speaker asked you a question about how does the private sector is neglecting to teach us or to help us in getting internet or connectivity or anything to do with technology? You did not answer that question. How should you give us a lot of points about how the private sector is not helping us, how people are not giving incentive to do that, but you did not give us a legitimate source or even statistics. That is something that we cannot accept. And again, like you said, this is really something that you have neglected to tell us. We've said that schools, again, you've mentioned schools when that is nowhere near in our plan. Why should we focus in schools when it's not a major source of the economy? And that brings me back to what you said. You said that we're focusing on complete digitalization of the economy. That is something that we know, that is something we're not focusing on right now. We know we should focus on the major sectors, which will help us in the long run be better digitalization.
POI, please.
Denied. You said we were going to focus on the major sectors. That's what we were going to do. That is our plan of action as for now. And you failed to address how that is a problem. How doing that, focusing on both tourism and agriculture is a bad thing. You said that agriculture is literally illiterate, but that is something we can fix and we are planning to fix. That is not something that's easily forgettable. So, yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Having heard from the third speaker proposition, let's hear from the third speaker opposition.
So thank you, dear judges. I'm by the names of Shaka Pascal from the opposition side, opposing the motion that says that this House believes that complete digitalization will be achieved by the year 2030. I think this whole debate has been based on the keyword, which is complete, dear judges. Complete. The first speaker on the proposition side did not define it, but my first speaker defined it as having all properties of a set, dear judges. So here the proposition side came here. My speech will be with two main components: refutations and rebuilding. First, I'll start with refutation. The first speaker from the proposition side here came and told us that for them, they are going to base on agriculture and tourism sector, dear judges. First of all, that is not where we're going to get to complete digitalization by 2030, dear judges. And we have said that we are not saying that complete digitalization is impossible. What we're saying is that in 9 years, in the 8 fiscal years remaining, we cannot get to complete digitalization of agriculture and of tourism, dear judges. And also, they have said that the COVID-19 pandemic had effects, that the COVID-19 impacts were reduced, dear judges. But what about the 3.5 million students who have dropped out of school, dear judges? Was that impact looked at, dear judges? And the 3.5 million students will help us to get to the digital literacy, which will again help us to get to the complete digitalization, which we want to get to, dear judges. And also, their plan consisted, I'll give you time, please. Their plan consisted on getting funds from the DEI. My second speaker asked them a question: how much are they going to give us? Will that be enough to get us to the complete digitalization, dear judges? And by complete digitalization of the economy, there includes the 5 main sectors, which are agriculture, financial services, trade, and other hospitality, dear judges. And when we mean by digitalization of agriculture, we mean the introduction of automated steering systems, field robots and drones, soil analysis sensors, autonomous driving, and all those, dear judges, which we cannot get in the little amount of time we have remaining, which are 8 fiscal years, dear judges. Also, the third speaker came here and told us that robots have nothing to do with digitalization, but they defined
they defined digitalization as hyperconnectivity using technology efficiently, and that includes robots, dear judges. And also, the third speaker came here and told us, what did we say about education? Education is an important factor to get to the complete digitalization that we need. And if you're removing that factor from your whole plan, what are you remaining with? So, they also told us about that the 0.2% drop of the GDP was nothing, but it took Rwanda from 2018 to get from 8% of the 8% to 8.2% in 1 year, dear judges. So that was a drop, and that was meaningful. So I'll go on to rebuilding my case. So we have told you that it is not possible for Rwanda to get to complete digitalization by 2030 because of the following. Low levels of digitalization in agriculture, while it's the leading sector in Rwanda's economy, which contributes to over 24.07% to the GDP and deploying over 70% of the Rwandans, dear judges. To achieve complete digitalization, you have to put in consideration agriculture, which is the backbone of our dear judge of our economy. Who comes first, the mother or the child? So we have to take care of the agriculture so that we can get to the complete digitalization that we need. Secondly, we have a weak local demand of digital services, which discourages the private sector-led economy. As my second speaker said, for the country digitalization evolution to become truly transformational, the private sector needs to play a far greater role in spearheading digitalization. However, for the private sector contribution to the digital economy to increase, key enablers need to be in place, including greater adoption of broadband services and access to a larger market. But Rwanda, first of all, needs to tackle the problems of digital illiteracy and affordability of our people, dear judges. My second speaker and my first speaker have came here and told us all about those problems. They have told us, we know that only 37% of households do not own mobile devices, let alone 4G compatible devices. 60% of men and 38% of women have phones, dear judges, and 72% of those people who use the devices only use 2G compatible devices, and 25.9 use 3G, with only 2.1% using 4G compatible. So, dear judges, how in only 8 fiscal years, because they have told us that it is 10 years, but their math is horrible. By 2030, it will be 8 fiscal years. How are we going to get to teach all those people and bring them smartphones? Well, are we going to use the DEI fund that they have talked about? Are they going to tackle all those problems, dear judges? There's also the gaps in access to the key enablers in schools, including connectivity, digital devices, reliable electricity, digital content, and adequate teacher capacity, dear judges. This continuously affects the integration of ICT and the delivery of trainings of the basic digital skills. Also, the Rwanda is not producing enough digital specialists needed to get to that complete digitalization, dear judges. And those who are offered are not considered to be on the digital specialist level. So that is why, mind you, our case line shows that we need to eradicate poverty and digital illiteracy, then digitalization of the economy by 2050. All because that digitalization cannot be achieved by 2030. Thank you.
All right. Straight up to the reply speeches. We would love to give you only 2 minutes for preparation of the reply speech. As you, we are going to call you after the 2 minutes. You can start preparing, and as we know, we start always with the opposition, so you can prepare for the 2 minutes, and we'll call upon the reply speech. Hello, hello. GHA, where are you? All right. We are going forward for the we're going forward for the reply speech. JHA, we can't see your camera. Kindly turn it on. All right. As we all know, the reply speech has only 4 minutes and not interfered. We'll only signal you with this when you're remaining only with 1 minute. So after the 3 minutes, I will signal you that you have only 1 minute left. And the last 10 seconds, I will have to use my fingers to signal you the countdown of the last 10 seconds. Yeah, so we call upon the reply speaker of the opposition.
Thank you. Good afternoon again. I'm back for the reply speech where I'll be saying what they say and what we say for a quicker comparison. So, dear judges, the proposition side came here talking about economic growth over and over again. And we as the opposition side, we did not deny economic growth. We did not deny the digitalization of the economy. What we strongly denied was that complete digitalization of Rwandan economy by 2030 cannot be achieved. We showed you all the problems, all the hindrances to the complete digitalization. We showed you what digitalization of economy implied. We showed you the hindrances, which were the agriculture, digital illiteracy, the weak mobile phone ownership. We talked about the limited internet usage. We talked about the gap in the digital skills, and all of that, dear judges, went to show that the digitalization of, as they described it, as the hyperconnectivity using technology efficiently, could not be achieved by 2030, which is why we came up with the case line that said that there should be eradication of poverty and digital illiteracy first, then complete digitalization of the economy by 2050. They did not have a case line. We asked for the case line, they did not provide. They say that they are going to empower agriculture as the main leading sectors. They say that their main leading sectors, they set a boundary about agriculture and tourism. We asked them how they're going to empower agriculture. They did not specify how they're going to empower agriculture. They talked about how they're going to have a social fund, the DEI. We asked exactly how the amount of money that DEI will be contributing to evaluate the relevancy, but they did not prove that they did. And then they came here, and at the beginning of the debate, they said clearly that they're focusing on agriculture and tourism. And then their second speaker came here talking about how financial services implemented digitalization through Irembo. We asked them, what is the connectivity with agriculture they're focusing on? They did not provide their judges. And then they went on talking about economic growth. And we clearly stated that the question here was not whether Rwanda is achieving economic growth. It was either, can it achieve digitalization, complete digitalization of its economy by 2030? But they didn't prove it to us. They kept on saying that they are going to be digitalizing, that their time frame itself was problematic. They say that they're going to implement it 10 years from now. But this is basic math. We're not going to argue about basic math. 10 years from now, that's 2031. That goes further to prove that by 2030, digitalization of economy, complete digitalization of economy cannot be achieved even by their own plan, which was non-existent because they did not show it to us. They talked about how there was a drop of 0.2% of the economic growth, and they say that it didn't mean anything. But the third speaker from our side clearly showed that 0.2% in a country that, like ours, that is still developing, does not mean nothing. It means a lot because it took 1 year to achieve the 0.2% upgrade, and now a 0.2% even downgrade. They say it's nothing, dear judges. That was really not considerate, dear judges. And they talk about how we talked about agriculture, but they education, sorry, but they were focusing on agriculture. What do they think? That education has did they not show how education is not how agriculture and economy does not imply education? They were just here to undermine all aspects of economy, dear judges, and our side clearly proved that by 2050 it is possible. We clearly proved that we agree that complete digitalization of Rwandan economy can be achieved, but by 2030 it is not possible. With all that said, we highly and humbly invite you on our side because we deserve to take this debate. Thank you.
Okay, having heard from the reply speech from the opposition, let's hear from the reply speaker on the proposition. We can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm back for the reply speech of the first speaker on the proposition side. So to dive right in, I'd first like to say that we set boundaries as the proposition side around the agriculture and tourism sectors. Because Rwanda set a plan of a middle income country by 2035. Therefore, we can't keep on procrastinating these things because we feel like we can't do it and because people are uneducated or they're illiterate. They fail to show us how the funds of eradicating poverty and digitalizations are coming from, and the probability that eradicating poverty can even be possible by 2050. They were talking about how all people are illiterate, people can't read, people can't use technology, but how are they going to eradicate poverty and then increase education around the whole country by 2050? That in itself is an unrealistic plan. We're giving them a timeline of something. We can't sit back and say we're going to push back all other economic activities until poverty is out of Rwanda completely. That's impossible. We showed them a way of simultaneously doing it while giving employment opportunities, job opportunities. My third speaker clearly stated that eradicating poverty is unrealistic and can't be achieved, and our plan simultaneously gives job opportunities at the same time digitalizing the economy and creating more jobs for Rwandans, especially the fact that after the pandemic, agriculture sector and tourism sector are failing, and they have a problem and they need bouncing back as usual. And what is the best way to bounce back these sectors is by including digital or technology involvements in these economic sectors. Our definitions of the keywords, which we highlighted on our side, they say that complete digitalization does not mean that everything becomes technology, everything becomes robots, everything becomes humans no longer work. I clearly stated that it's hyperconnectivity, where current workers of these sectors use technology for efficiency, right? These economic sectors, which were agriculture and tourism, and achieved, meaning to pull off an objective. So we clearly stated that it's not replacing them. We're not about 4G or what. It's just being able. Technology does not necessarily mean 4G or Wi-Fi. It's the machines, the machines that they use in agriculture as well as tourism that can be able to help these workers produce more output. So we highlighted the probability, the achievability, and the ability of the plan, creation of jobs and saving the economy and creating increasing the output produced. So then went on to highlight the bouncing back of the economy from the genocide, and now that's nothing compared to the pandemic effect. We showed them how only 0.2% compared to 1994, where the country had suffered about 32% decrease in the economic activities, where 1 million people died, 2 million people fled, and literally all activities stopped for 100 days. And still, that was not impossible for the Rwandan economy. We went into it and then we're able to build it back to this level. Therefore, it's really not impossible in this timeline. So the plan includes sensitization, which we showed how the funds are coming from, the timeline, and how this is possible because it needs to be done in order for the 2035 plan to be able to put into action successfully. And we need efficient.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for the nice debate. I would love to ask the opposition team to turn on their camera if they can hear me. Okay. Well, it was a wonderful debate. A hand of applause to you all. You can clap for yourselves. Yeah, very massive and very competitive. But as we know, in the debate we have those who move forward and those who are left. Those who move forward and those who are left behind. But those who are left, it doesn't mean that they don't know how to debate. It's just the outweighing of what you give as debaters, but it doesn't make you a poor debater. But what I've seen, you're really great debaters, and I wish to see you in future because you're really great, doing great actually. So before moving forward, you all know that we are in knockout sessions where we don't disclose the one who has gone through, but they will disclose them probably in the next sessions where they will show you who is moving on the next rounds. But as judges, we are going to tell you the overview or the feedback of what we have seen in this debate as in all. But I will not start. I want my co-judges to start to give you feedbacks. If but we can start with Mosha, then Pascaline will go again. So I'll come in concluding. So Mosha, you can give your feedbacks onto the general feedbacks of the both teams, and then we will go on in just a few minutes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shaka. I also have to admit and congratulate both teams and say that you guys are really good debaters. It was a really classic and a really nice debate. It was interesting. You guys were well informed. You guys knew what you had to do, and you guys did what you had to do for your teams to qualify for the next round. So I have to congratulate you guys. This was a nice debate. I have a few comments though that I'd love to put forward, just to help you guys build up more on your debating skills and your debating understanding, so that the more you proceed and the more you will be debating in further and further tournaments ahead, you guys will keep being good and being the best in debating. The first thing is in uniformity. There's an importance of having that uniformity as a team, that what the first speaker speaks is what the second speaker will come and speak about also, and this is what the third speaker will come to speak about also. Because remember, in a debate, you guys are building cases, so you'll have to work and you'll have to walk along with your case from the beginning to the end of the debate. So you find there are some cases whereby the first speaker speaks about this thing, and mostly the first speaker is the one who gives us the layout of what you guys will be speaking throughout the debate. He or she will give us the framework. So when the second speaker and the third speaker come and give in new things, or they just, when they just speak a little of what the first speaker talked about, and they bring in a lot of new arguments and new ideas, that proves and that shows that you guys are not having that uniformity with you. So uniformity is key. And I have to congratulate one of the teams here. I felt the uniformity. You guys were really good. You are flowing, all of you are flowing in the same direction. You are coming and hitting the same points that you guys were speaking about. You are still reminding, the good thing about uniformity is that when you have your case, you remind the judges in the audience that this is what you're speaking about, and this is the case here, and this is what we're stressing here. That's the most important thing about uniformity. Another thing is about you guys understanding and playing your parts on fulfilling your speaker roles. I mean, if you're the first speaker, know what you're supposed to do as a first speaker. You're supposed to define the motion. You're supposed to give us if you've got any parameters, if you've got.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I think our co-judges are having some internet issues, but as I'll also give feedback as they come back. Well, as he has been saying about teamwork, don't mistake what he has said in a way of repeating what your teammate has said, but rather it is meant to build what your case is, because debate is like construction. When you start the foundation, another one adds on some bricks with cement and makes it concrete. But not but to build it to be a joint building or a strong building. So that's what he meant. He didn't mean that you just repeat everything he said, but to remind us what your team is basing on. So yeah, first of all, you're all good speakers and debaters. That one I'm proudly assured of that. You're doing great, and the style, it's perfect. The strategies are also good, but I'll come back to some of common things that have been being done. But okay, Moshe has come back. I think Moshe, you can continue. I'll give them back.
I'm so sorry. I encountered some connection problems. Okay, so I was speaking about roles, that you guys need to know your roles. I mean, role fulfillment, the first speaker, the second speaker, the third speaker. Because if you fail to fulfill your roles as a speaker, that is a very big loophole in debating. It doesn't make any sense when you're debating and you're not fulfilling any of your roles. So that is important. I felt like there's some people who did not understand the roles properly. The other thing is understanding the motion. That is the most important area, guys. When the motion is put forward, you should use enough time of preparation in first trying to understand the motion. What does this motion want? What is it speaking about? Looking at those keywords and the key areas in the motion, spotting them, and trying to understand what does this motion try to speak about here. In the other debate that we were judging, we encountered the same problem, that there were issues on understanding the motion. As Shaka told the other team in the other room that we were in the other session, that this motion was an analytical motion. It's the motion that doesn't need you to tell us of what you're going to do, or of what is important, because I was feeling there was much of that. You guys were debating more of this is important and this is not important. This motion wanted you to tell us, as in the motion states. Let me read it here. This house believes complete digitalization by 2020 can be achieved by 2020. It's like asking if this thing is possible or it is not possible. So you guys are supposed to come and tell us, is it possible for Rwanda to be digitalized by 2030? If yes, tell us, yes, it is possible, and how, or how can it be done? How is it possible? And if it's not, you tell us, how is it not possible? Instead of, telling us that it is important to digitalize. The motion itself already understands that it is important to digitalize. That's why now it's not asking of if it is possible to digitalize the country. The other thing, and the last thing that I want to tell you guys, is about bringing new arguments, which I already spoke about in the point of you guys having uniformity. Don't bring the debate on the last stages of the debate. You find sometimes you do not feel the debate. The first speaker speaks, the second speaker speaks. You still don't feel what is this team trying to speak about, and you know exactly what these people are supposed to be talking about. Throughout the debate, and you find in the reply speech That's when you guys are starting now to bring in the debate, which you are supposed to bring since the beginning. So understand your roles, understand your jobs and your roles, each and every person. Don't bring the debate in the end. The third speaker shouldn't come and do what the first speaker was supposed to do. You guys should really, look into those areas. The last thing that I want to tell you guys is be mindful of the questions that you guys get in the POIs. Some of these questions are very key in the debate, for the debate. So there are some questions that are very direct and they are hitting in some on some important matters concerning the debate. So you guys have to answer these questions in a very clear and a very nice manner that won't affect you as a team. Because if you leave anything or any argument or any question that was important to the POIs, if you just leave them idle without hitting them or rebutting them, you guys will have put that loophole like you guys could not answer this thing, or you guys have agreed that this thing is how it is supposed to be, and that can also make you lose a debate. So that's all. But all in all, I'd love to congratulate you again. You guys are really good debaters, and this was a nice debate so far. Thank you so very much. We cannot hear you, Shaka. I can't hear you.
Pascaline, are you with us? Okay, I'll give the feedbacks as Pascaline will write. I saw that you will write. Well, as Moshe has told us, reminding us the essence of, first of all, the definition of the debate, because that's the road that debaters are going to take us to. Meaning that debaters are drivers. We know where we are going, but you are going to drive us there. And that comes from the speakers. Coming back to both opposition and proposition, the essence of connecting us back to the motion, because that's the very ideal that makes you not forget that the motion talks about this. Because if you move out the motion by explaining more and more, it leads us, the judges and the audience, not get actually what you're giving us towards the motion. So link back to the motion always, and that will help much more. And also relating to when you're debating, avoid reading a lot. I've seen some people, if you know that you're reading a lot, read, but then give time to explain more to the audience, rather than if I was giving you feedback and I'm looking down like this and I continue speaking, it's not coming from me, but it's coming from the paper. So I'm not saying that you don't have to read, but when you're reading, explain to us while you're seeing the audience, rather than reading from a paper like this. It doesn't really make the debate well, as long as you're going to read but explanation is not going to be given. Another thing, try to give points of information. I've heard from the team opposition, there's a speaker who gave an point of information, but also that was the second speaker, but also didn't give time for the person to speak. It really doesn't help a lot to just pull off someone not to speak. You'll have to give that person time and then express herself, because it's a debate. It's a debate. So change that strategy, give people time to speak, and that will be great. And also answering POIs. There is a huge mistake that debaters make. They pass on their POIs to other people. Are you getting me? Yeah, passing other points of information to another person. Like the first speaker of opposition was like, my second speaker will talk about it. But then you find that someone doesn't. When the second speaker comes, it doesn't say talk about it. So that one, as judges, we are like, okay, this point, we are not getting it. So try to work on that. Make sure that if you say that my second speaker is going to come and talk about this, make sure they talk about it, because it's left hanging. And also that comes back to points of information which are left unanswered. It really doesn't write too much. And I think also it's about what the motion itself onto understanding what does this motion need. Do we need because they are talking about complete. Can it complete or it can't? It can't be complete, and that's where the roads that we wanted to take from both sides. And lastly, as I conclude, make sure that you understand your roles, as we don't expect new points at the end of the debate. That makes us find it not like interesting more, because those points we rather hear them at the first, because when you bring them at last, it confuses us, the audience, and the judges, because if you bring them first, they are easily explained. But if you do not bring them first, it's a bit challenging. Like both teams did that. You started bringing some new points on the, especially the third speakers. They're bringing new statistics that we didn't hear, are also building onto that. And also, your research was good, but make sure when you're making research, yeah, be precise on the sources also. Tell us the sources, because if you come and tell me this percentage, 0.2%, if you tell me about, let me see what else, 96.6 broadband, and you tell me 0.2 of the reduction in the economy only, where did you get that? Probably they changed it today afternoon. Did you even read today afternoon? They might have changed it. So these are the things, as you debate, as I see. If you continue to the next round, work on your roles, speaker roles, because you're good speakers. But know what are my strengths, where can I speak more best, and then give also time to points of information and all forth. So that's it. As we
excuse me,
yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. This is Teacher Musa.
Okay.
I'm the patron of GHA. Guys, we are at the school and it's 6 o'clock. My students have to go home. Yeah, so can we kindly wrap up?
Yeah, we are done. Sorry, we are done, but because of, we had challenges with connections today that made other teams again. So yeah, that's all we have for today, and we wish the best team that will go to the next round to improve those areas, and I believe so that you will do best. Thank you very much for this time. Good luck. This time, good luck. Hey, Moshe.
Hello, Siaka.
You can go backstage if you mind. Let's go backstage.
All right.